Hey everyone, it's Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Sunday, July 25th. Lots to cover today. First, I'm going to talk about this portal error that many of you have been reporting. Not only this, but other technical issues with your portal. I'll give my opinion on what's happening there. Second, good news when it comes to credit scores, especially those of you who may have been declined because of low or lowish credit scores. Banks are increasingly relying less on credit scores to make decisions. This is very important for any future lending for you or your business. And finally, I'll pick not one, but two winners today for our $1,000 giveaways. So at the end of this video, I'll pick two people to give $1,000 to. All you have to do to be entered every week is be a subscriber of our channel, turn on the alerts, and comment in one of our videos during that week, and download our free Skip app. That's it. So stay tuned for that. Two of you watching will get $1,000 today. Let me start with the SBA Portal, and shout out to so many of you who've shared information to us by email and also commented as well. It's really amazing to see all of your comments, to sharing stories. As always, if you have unique situations, you can email us at tips@helloskip.com. Just to give us a heads up about changes, things that I haven't reported on, you can always ask in the comments as well. Our entire team is reviewing the comments on a daily basis. But tomorrow, Monday, I hope the SBA finally releases good news when it comes to EIDL loan increase. This has been an update we've been waiting for a month. Two separate SBA contacts said we could expect news last Friday. Of course, we didn't hear anything on Friday. That was a disappointment. So I'm hoping that they took the time this weekend to iron out whatever kinks they had in the announcement, and they're going to tell us tomorrow on Monday some good news when it comes to EIDL loan increases. 22% of you report being approved, 36% of you report being denied. If you have been denied, use our EIDL loan reconsideration template. I'll link to that video above, and the rest of you, around 45%, are still waiting for a decision. Many of you have the situation like this, where you're getting portal errors, you saw funding, but then there were glitches. Here's one example where there's a decline notice here in blue. Your quote is $0. And in the green box here, it says decision details will be communicated by email. Okay, so that's if you've been denied. Many of you report being approved, then being denied. Bottom line, we've heard of lots of different cases of glitches or potential glitches. I believe there are issues with the SBA portal that are causing this. So you shouldn't take what's here as the ground truth. When in doubt, call the SBA and email the SBA. Those are the avenues where you'll get a real person on the phone. Many cases with the email, you initially get a form reply. So if you have the time, it's good to get someone on the phone. They can maybe answer different questions. And it is a runaround game where you may have to talk to a couple different people to actually get some clues as to what's happening, what's the holdup. Is there something that you needed to do? Or on their end, does everything look okay? Which happens a lot of times where you see errors on your portal and you call in and they say, oh, actually, you're all set. It looks like you're still being processed and a loan officer is currently reviewing your status. So I just want to address that. Obviously, I don't have any specific answers to the actual issues that are happening. I think only internally at the SBA they can answer that. We do know that they have had issues. They've admitted some of the issues they've had and have also said if you have questions, they have the call center and they have the email support. So I'd love to hear in the comments what issues you are still facing when it comes to your portal. So much of this channel is to give you peace of mind, to understand that everyone's going through a unique situation, but by hearing what others have been up to, it can give you hope. Speaking of hope, for those of you who have had issues with credit scores, whether it be for the EIDL grants or loans or other private lenders, we have a handful of private lender partners, which I talk about from time to time. Sometimes they require higher credit scores than the SBA. Here's the headline from the Wall Street Journal yesterday. FICO scores hold on the credit market is slipping. This is good news. Basically moving away from the rigid credit score, kind of like moving away from standardized tests. If you don't perform well on standardized tests, that may mean you get left out of certain higher education, but some schools have broadened the criteria to look at other factors. Same thing with the credit market. If you didn't have a great or excellent credit score, it's often meant you've been left out of lending options. But now, according to this article, banks, even big banks, are looking at their own sources to make credit decisions. FICO has long dominated the market for consumer credit, providing scores for some 200 million US consumers that are used by a whole host of lenders to evaluate credit card, auto loan, and mortgage applicants. Of course, for borrowers, higher scores can mean bigger loans and lower interest rates. But here's the main takeaway. Big lenders are moving away from FICO, according to people familiar with the matter. Capital One Financial Corp, Synchrony Financial don't use its scores for most of consumer lending decisions. They are becoming a smaller factor in some underwriting decisions at JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America. In addition, a key financial regulator is encouraging banks to de-emphasize credit scores in an effort to expand access to affordable credit. Housing finance giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are considering allowing lenders to use other scores when evaluating mortgage applicants. There are many reasons for the shift, but it ultimately comes down to risk assessment and analysis of a potential borrower. If the data shows that other criteria are doing a just as good job as credit scores, or in fact even better than credit scores, then they will opt for the new criteria, and that's what's happening. Proprietary scores that some lenders say are better able to predict who will repay and who won't. Regulators are concerned that FICO leaves too many Americans behind, limiting them to payday loans and other costly forms of credit. Some 53 million US adults lack traditional FICO scores because they have thin or non-existing borrowing histories. We know from many of your comments, many of the denial letters you've received from, let's say, the SBA, a lot of it has come down to lower credit scores, but it's this catch-22. You have lower credit scores, but you need more credit to improve your credit score. So it's a vicious cycle that many of you face. One of the quotes from Roger Hochschild here, Chief Executive of Discover Financial Services: FICO scores are good, but they're not perfect. About FICO scores, they range from 300 to 850, are calculated using the information in people's credit reports. Here's a scoring chart of FICO scores put up by My Bank Tracker. 300 to 560 in the very bad range, 560 to 650. Bad, 650 to 700, fair, 700 to 750, good, and 750 and above up to 850 is excellent. And in terms of how it's calculated, according to myfico.com, here's what comes into it. 35% is based on payment history, 10% on credit mix, 15% length of credit history, 10% new credit, and 30% on amounts owed. So of course that 30% is based on available credit versus used credit. So the more credit you have available, the lower that number is, the higher your FICO score may be. Of course, a lot of this traps you because of life situations that come up. You get stuck, your credit score goes down, and there are no real big shortcuts to improving that credit score except time and consistency. But here's another piece of good news. Lenders' efforts to rely less on FICO scores accelerated during the pandemic. The scores don't reflect deferment and forbearance programs, making it harder for lenders to evaluate borrowers. Some 48% of lenders feel less confident making consumer lending decisions based on traditional credit scores and reports compared with a year prior. So this is really interesting point here. When shoppers apply for the buy now, pay later loans, these are becoming more popular. A lot of fintech companies do this as well. You can buy big purchase items and have a low interest or zero interest loan for a certain amount of time. The bank considers factors including the products they are buying according to a person familiar with the matter. For example, fitness equipment is viewed as a sign of creditworthiness because it suggests a positive change in the applicant's behavior. That's the example here. By next year, the bank plans to use cell phone, cable, and utility payment information to help vet loan applicants as well. And this goes with the trend a lot of fintech companies are doing to basically make their own decisions when it comes to evaluating risk. That is what these credit scores are for, to evaluate risk, who has higher creditworthiness, who's likely to pay back the loans on time versus potentially default. And the federal government is getting involved with this as well because of traditional underserved areas. Here's the quote here. The agency decision makers concluded last year that the credit score guidance to banks was preventing many Black and Hispanic borrowers from obtaining affordable credit, according to a person familiar with the matter. Would love to hear what you think about these changes, and of course, I'll be keeping an eye on this as well, because this will potentially have a massive impact on millions of Americans' lives who are trying to get credit but traditionally have low credit scores, particularly FICO scores, that have kept them from getting access to capital they need or you need. And this shift, in theory, would open up opportunities for millions of you. Speaking of opportunities, let me pick our two $1,000 winners. As you may know, for 10 months now, we have been giving away most of our YouTube revenue. This is something we started last September when we were waiting for the second stimulus checks. We thought, what if we can give back our YouTube revenue? Now we are continuing to give back most of it to subscribers of our channel, because we really appreciate everyone who supports not only myself, but our entire team, and supports the effort on our app as well. The link to the app is in the description. It's HelloSkip in the App Store and Google Play. Over the past 2 weeks, we've picked two $1,000 winners. One person hasn't claimed their $1,000 yet, so today we are picking two winners. So basically, we're going to pick two commenters from one of our 6 videos over the past week. Monday's video was on a new $250K EIDL loan increase alternative, one of our fintech partners. Tuesday's video was on information we heard that reconsideration may not work or this was just a rogue SBA employee. Wednesday's video, we talked about the EIDL loan increase progress based on our survey. Thursday's video, we put out our EIDL loan reconsideration template. Friday, I gave some data updates from the SBA and that we were awaiting news. And Saturday, I talked about how there's still $27 billion sitting there in the SBA's bank accounts to give out in 10K targeted EIDL grants, which could help over 3 million small businesses if the rules are changed. We'll pick a random video. I just hit roll here. We got video number 2, so we'll pick a comment first from Tuesday's video. Let me see who the winner is, the first $1,000 winner for today. My Travel Vlog, congrats. Their comment just denied after 5 minutes sending my DocuSign. Of course, we're going to verify that you are a subscriber and have signed in on the Skip app. Link in the description on how to get in touch with us. That's Thursday's video where we talked about the EIDL loan reconsideration template. Let's pick a random winner of that video. Here we go. Trey Parker, congrats on winning $1,000 as well. And your comment, thank you so much for this information. It's our pleasure. So congrats to Trey Parker and My Travel Blog. Get in touch with us in the description. And of course, if they don't claim their prizes, we'll have more winners to pick next week for our subscribers and commenters. We expect lots of news this week from the SBA. Stay tuned for that. Most importantly, hope you're having a great weekend. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.